Hello, everyone. This is Criminal Profiler Pat Brown, and this is Patron Hangout 101. So, hello, everybody. Glad you are here. Let me see who's in the chat room. I'm going to try this again. I always screw up because I get confused. And but Brenda's here. Oh, Brenda, you're new, and you're Nutella. I'm already finding you delicious. Welcome. Glad you made it. Sarah's here. Lisa S is here. Corey Smith is here. Molly is here. Let's else is here. Lisa S is here. Did I already say Lisa N? Lisa N is here. Maybe is here. Molly's here. Sarah's here. I just said Sarah already. Alec is here. Okay, probably Marion is here. I think. But and welcome if you're coming in now to the chat room. By the way, if you'd like to be in the chat room, please do click on the link below to Patreon. It's $5 a month. You get to come to all 8 lives. All my chat rooms are Patreon only, so we have nice people and not a bunch of crazy people from everywhere in the world on the internet. And you can come to 8 a month. There's 4 case shows and 4 hangouts. Plus, we have a nice community. And also, I keep forgetting to say this. If you come to the live shows, you don't watch advertisements. So you don't have to see those like you do when you go just to YouTube in general, unless you've paid for that, advertisement free thing, like me, because I have to. And also, even if you miss the live show, you can go to the link that I send you in your messages, and you can see the show without advertising, as long as you do it fairly quickly, depending on how long it takes YouTube to monetize that video, because I try not to put it up before it's monetized. Sometimes they monetize right away. Sometimes they take an entire freaking week and really upset me. I'm like, what's going on? But I have to monetize it in order to be able to survive. But you, if you're a patron of Patreon of my channel, then you can not see any of the ads if you don't want to. So that's just what I want to let you know. And also, please do subscribe to the channel and like it. All right, now what do I have in store? So many things. There were so many requests that came in. So many. But I have to start. I just have to start with, if you've been watching me in the recent days, I just put out a video. It was on the Court TV Vinnie Politan thing where he had the handwriting analyst on, and here this is the one I just did. So if you haven't seen it yet, go to my go to my channel and watch it. And the woman directly behind me is Mozelle Martin, and this is some interesting stuff that happened with her. I spoke out about her during the show because what I pointed out was that when you go watch things on the media, most of the time, not even a lot of time, most of the time they don't vet anybody. They just grab people and tell them hey, are you available at 3 o'clock? And they say yes, and they say okay, just uplink out of your house, and they don't pay attention to whether they're legitimate or not. And I never have a problem with self-trained people because, quite frankly, I'm one of them. So, pot calling the kettle black. But I'm honest. I tell people exactly who I am, how I got where I got, and I'm happy about it. And also, if I have credentials, I tell you what they are. Like I have a master's degree. It is from Boston University. Okay. What we had with Mozelle Martin is that she is a handwriting analyst, she claims, and she may well be, she seems to be self-trained. And I, again, don't have a problem with that. Although I have a problem with everything else about her, which is I find that she is dishonest about her entire background. And so I bring this up. And but before I did this show, she actually had contacted me. And it was kind of funny because apparently somebody said that she had written a thing that we had spoken to each other in the 90s. And I'm like, no recollection whatsoever. And then it turned out I looked at my email, and she had also contacted me in March of 2023. But that was when one of my videos was stolen, in my opinion, and used without permission by another channel. And she commiserated with me. She just came in and said, hey, you remember me from the 90s? And I'm like, quite frankly, no. And then she spoke to me and all that stuff, and she wrote an email, and then, I have problems with haters, blah, blah, blah. And I responded, and that was that. And so when I saw her again recently on Vinnie Politan's show on Court TV, I really had no clue who she was. I thought I'd never ever talked to her because it obviously didn't stick in my head very much. And so before I did that show, she contacted me again, and then I said, hey, look, before I do anything, send me your CV. You have it on you have it on your website that you're shutting down everything and no one can know anything about you. You were transparent for 20 years. Well, for some reason, you can't be transparent now, which is really weird because it's hard to understand why a professional can't say where they went to college or who they work with. How is that a problem? Apparently, her lawyers, which I'm doubting she has any of, tell her she shouldn't put any of this on the internet. So she pulled all these things. She closed down sites to protect herself from all the haters. And I'm like, look, I've been out here for 20 years. I get haters occasionally, and I've had stalkers, but not to the level you seem to. I mean, I've never closed down anything, and nobody's ever told me to. So I'm like, what is your problem? So anyway, so I said, send me your CV. That's what you tell the police departments to do, or anybody who's a true professional. I said, send me your CV, and I'll read it. And if I'm wrong, I will do another video, and I'll say, hey, I was wrong about Mozelle. I jumped to conclusions. Wasn't professional of me. She's been to college. She's got these degrees, and so on and so forth. That is if she didn't just make them up, mind you. Or go someplace she doesn't want to admit she went to, like some fly-by-night internet school that doesn't have any credibility. So I was seeing if she sent a CV back. Well, she didn't. Before the show, she just sent a letter back to me, and she said, Pat, I'm sorry you didn't like the book. This is after the show. She didn't send this to me before the show. So I went ahead and did the show. She said, I'm sorry I didn't like the book. I'm like, no. I'm thinking, no, I love the book because it was full of information. It's terribly written, but hey, fascinating stuff. And then she wrote a long diatribe. And then she wished me well. She sort of wished me well. And she also wanted to let me know that I had a mental problem and I should see psychiatric help because apparently my concern about her credentials is a psychiatric condition. And then she sent me a piece of proof of what she was talking about. Not her CV. CV, sorry, not her CV. What she sent me was this. She sent me, this is how much I had to pay for all those college educations. See, originally I borrowed $192,000. Woo! And I owe $76,000 still at the age of whatever the heck she is now. Either that money has been very poorly spent. But then she said, and I know my haters are going to say I just photoshopped that. And I'm thinking, that's a good possibility. But why would you not send me the CV that would line up all these law enforcement agencies you actually worked for with addresses and people contacted? Why not send that to me? Because I'm going to tell you this. I looked at some of my stuff that's been out there and I realized, man, some of my stuff, I haven't actually put all the things that I've done online. I mean, some of it's there, but some of it I just never, things happen, you forget about it. I just never bothered to put it up. I'm thinking, wow. But if somebody from law enforcement or from a professional, let's say another credible YouTuber says, Pat, I don't think you ever went to college. And people are telling me that you never went to college, and I don't think you did. I want some proof. Hey, I will show you my certificate. I'll take a screenshot of my graduation. My master's degree. And if you want me to sign a document that says you can call Boston University or contact the registrar and ask if Pat Brown actually got that degree from Boston, I'm okay with that. Bully for you. You want to go through the work, and I understand. Go do that. I'll provide that information. I'm not going. There's no reason I can't provide it. It's not to every single person on the internet. Yeah, I'm not doing that. But I mean, for somebody who I'm truly concerned that they're in a position to ruin my life or ruin my reputation, I would do that. But she didn't even provide the CV. So. And I just want to point out one more thing. It's just very fascinating. So one more thing from this book, and I don't know if I'll ever do any more on this. I'm not trying to I try not to do these things where I attack other people, but sometimes they just make it really hard. So anyway, But so Mozelle is actually not Mozelle. She originally name is Tracy. I won't get the last name, but she was not Mozelle Martin. She changed her name later in life. But listen to this. This is just amusing as hell. So she was adopted. I can still hear my adoptive mother's angry voice shouting, "Stop that now, Tracy," as a child. While most 2-year-olds would have been shocked into sitting calmly, I became angry. My anger was not a typical temper tantrum because I instinctively knew that Tracy was not my name, even though it was my legal name. She's 2. It gets worse. I would lie on the floor, hands over my ears, violently kicking my legs in the air and screaming back, "Stop calling me that." This behavior continued until I was 5 years old. While I'd grown to like the name Tracy, it wasn't my name. She was adopted as an infant. As an infant. This book is like golden as far as humor goes. I'm like, really? You knew your name wasn't what your birth mother gave you before she gave you away? When you were an infant? Oh my gosh. I mean, it's craziness. And one of the other funny things about this book is she goes on, she has all these horribly bad relationships, bad boyfriends who beat her and husbands who are bad and criminals. And she just has the worst taste in men. But she also does a thing called graphology. She's supposed to be able to take handwriting and determine the personality of that person from the handwriting. Why don't you get your new boyfriend to just write a little bit of something for you and look at it and go, "Dang, I shouldn't be with you." Apparently she can't read the handwriting of her all the men she's with before she goes and hooks up with him and has a terrible life. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. Anyway, that's my opening because I think it's kind of funny. In a terrible way. I mean, it's like, hey, yeah. Oh Lord. Let me see what you have to say here. Serious? Are you being serious, Sarah? She mailed 2 autograph copies. I don't know if you're joking or you're telling me the truth. I don't know, Sarah, because you have a sense of humor. So I'm thinking you're joking, but I don't know. Professional victim. Yes. And I don't know if I'm going to do it this week or next week. I want to do a thing on the Catch Me If You Can guy, con artists. And I want to share an experience with you all where I dealt with somebody for a long time who was really good at it. And one of the interesting things about female who go this route is they always tend to have people become victims of either other people or health things. They'll claim they have every health condition in the book, which again, Mozelle Martin does. She's autistic and she's got MS and God knows what else, You're not joking. Oh my God. Well, I feel left out. I didn't get an autograph copy. She now knows I, quote, don't like her book. I told you about that in one chat. I was reading the book. I don't remember that. See, I have to apologize to people, including Mozelle. I get a whole lot of emails, and a whole lot of messages, and a whole lot of comments. And sometimes I answer them, but then it goes out of my head because I'm dealing with so much. Some YouTubers don't respond to anybody at all. They just shut everything down and they just do their show and that's the end of it. And I do like the communication. So sometimes people have to remind me or say, hey, and I have to go check it out and see whether I actually do that. Harpa says, hi Harpa, very interesting topic. Yes, very closely related to Munchausens. Yes, that is true. And this is often a very female thing. As far as that goes, as far as saying you have all these diseases, everything is happening to you, and they get a lot of sympathy. So if you've been beaten by your male partner, you get sympathy. If your husband did bad things, you get sympathy. If you are sick, you get sympathy. So it's a sympathy. You want a lot of sympathy. Oh my God. If you believe the stuff in this book, you'd be crying your little eyes out. I, on the other hand, was kind of half grinning, but okay. Just amazing amounts of stuff in this book. This woman has like the worst luck in the world, but Meanwhile, while she's having the worst luck, she gets a PhD and makes $1,000 a day, although she's homeless half the time. Things don't add up. They are the Amber Heards of the world. Well, Amber had a better thing going for her. She was at least attractive and picked up on Johnny, early on. Oh, yay! I figured out how to join the chat because I have no idea. Oh, Lord. Let's see. Let's see what else you have to say. Okay. All right. So now let me go to the next thing. This one, I'm going to do some amusing things first, and then I'll get to some of the major crime stories of the day and all of your requests. But I just thought some of these were interesting. This one just kind of cracked me up because I guess I shouldn't be laughing. This guy named Brandon Bushman apparently was running from the police, and he had a warrant out on him, and he had a long history, like 10 or 12 times when he had burglaries and trespassing and all this, and they were chasing him. And then he went to this house and he got into this freezer, and it was one of those old freezers. Now, this Brandon kid, he's kind of young, so he probably doesn't know that when you get into an old freezer, you don't get back out again. That's how children die in freezers. So apparently he didn't get caught by the police, and I bet he wish he had, because he's now dead. So don't hide from the police in a freezer. It's not the right thing to do. It's just, I'm like, wow, Anyway, okay. So I want to talk next about, why is this picture? Hold on, I gotta look at this picture. Why is this picture here? Oh, that's why it's picture here. Okay. If you remember, Abigail Warner, she was shot in the stomach and almost died. And this was this year in January by a 6-year-old student who brought his mother's gun to school. Some people have had some level of sympathy for this kid, like maybe he's just confused, he didn't know what he was doing, and so forth. This came out today. This is when they unsealed the documents. This is what the kid said. After he brandished the gun in the classroom, he actually said, "I shot that dead." Isn't that a nice thing to say? All right. So apparently, then he said, "I did it. I got my mom's gun last night." So when he pulled the gun out while they're doing a reading activity. Pulled the gun out, pointed at the teacher. She says, "What are you doing with that?" And he said, and then he fired the shot. So clearly he wanted her dead, and he didn't like her. So it's really hard to fathom how a 6-year-old child can have that mentality. But yeah. But then again, I didn't have a picture for this because I wasn't trying to talk about it. But what? Oh my God! What in the world? Hold on a second, guys. Hello. Did you see me disappear? I have no idea. But am I still here? My screen just went to the recycle bin. Not yet. I'm not ready to be recycled. Let me know if you're still here and I just didn't disappear forever. Oh my God. Yes, it was premeditated, very much, and it was a miracle shoot. A 12-year-old stabbed his 8-year-old brother. Yeah, we have that. I think it's a 6-year-old thing that kind of freaks us out. Another one is and I didn't include this. Little Tay, which I've never even heard of. Some kind of rapper kid. She was 9 years old when she was rapping. And I went to, if you can go to YouTube and look at Little Tay, 9 years old. She is rapping, she is cussing, she is throwing money around, calling everybody poor people because she don't have the money she has with her Lamborghini. And I'm like, that child's the age of my granddaughter who likes horses and coloring. And I'm like, what 9-year-old acts like this? And she was a huge sensation apparently. And her brother, apparently, I think he committed suicide or OD'd, was a slightly older brother, and she's dead as we speak today at the age of 14. And they haven't come out yet and said what she died of. What kind of parents would allow a child to say these things on video? It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. But we're talking about a 9-year-old who has that mentality to talk that way. So what's it? It's not hard to believe a 6-year-old can talk that way if your parents put that in their lives. And I think the parents are just appalling. Whoa. My parents lived next to, hi, Jamie, next to a 6-year-old who killed a cat in a microwave. Oh, wow, that's frightening. And some people say, well, he didn't realize it was going to nuke the cat. Oh, didn't he? Yeah. Oh, that's really creepy. I think there's horrible parenting issues, and I don't know what responsibility they should have for their children doing these things, but it's freaky. That's totally freaky. Anyway, that was a sad one. Okay, I want to talk about this one. Now, this is an interesting story because recently I did a show on the new movie about child sex trafficking, and this woman was on Southwest Airlines, and somebody there saw something, so they said something, okay? And she's now suing Southwest Airlines for being racist and discriminatory. Now, here she is. She's obviously white, and her daughter is obviously biracial. Okay, so this is what happened. Let's see here. This is the police report. Let me see here. She apparently came onto the plane late, the last person getting onto the plane. They didn't have seats together. Okay, and she demanded to be seated with her daughter, and she asked out several passengers before getting a seat together. So-and-so advised that the mom and daughter did not talk during the flight, and she felt that it was odd, and also the mother did not allow the child to talk to flight crew. And she just thought it was freaky. When the police tried to talk to the child after they got off the plane, they found out the child was 10 years old. She pointed out several times that her child was 10. She was tall and appeared older than she is. The mother was very nervous and advised she's in town for a funeral. Mother took her phone out and started to video the conversation. She did not want police talking to her daughter. As I tried to ask her if she was okay, the child started to talk and then stopped. The child appeared in good health, but just scared and started crying, and so on and so forth. The child that was cleared, and they went on their way. Somebody on the plane saw something, and they thought maybe this child was being trafficked from another location, and told the police. Now the mother's suing Southwest. Should she sue? All right. I tell you, we have these two sides of things. One, we want people to say something if they see something. On the other hand, as soon as somebody says something, they get attacked. Now, sometimes they're being ridiculous, but a lot of times they are just truly concerned. And they say something. And how do you handle this if you are a parent, in a situation where she's white and the child's biracial? Well, the mother inflamed that whole situation. All she had to tell her daughter was, hey, no bother, let's talk to the police officer. He's just worried because some children who look like you come from countries that are south of our border, and from Mexico, from El Salvador, or whatever. And because you're biracial, you kind of look like you could kind of like maybe be Hispanic. And we're just going to talk to them. Everything's fine. That's what I would have done. Because I'll give you an example. These are my kids. I have 2 biracial kids and one black son. And that's my ex-husband over there. And this was the adoption of my son. And they are now in their 40s, so they're not looking like that anymore. But at the time, they looked exactly like that. I went to Canada. I can't remember why. I was in Canada for some reason. And I was not with my husband. I crossed back over the border. And I got to that. And this is before you acquired, I think you didn't have to have a passport. So my kids didn't have any ID with them. And so we were crossing across the border. The guy stopped us. He looked in the car. He looks at me. Then he looks in the back seat. He sees the children. Or one of them was probably in the front, 2 in the back. Or maybe all 3. I stuffed them in the back. I don't remember. Get away from me. Long trip. Go watch a movie. No, we didn't have that. I don't know what we did with those kids back in those days. Read a book. Anyway, the 3 kids let's say they're in the back seat. I think they were in the back seat. It had to all been in the back seat. They're all in the back seat. He looks at me, and he looks at the back seat with 2 biracial kids and a black child. And he looks back at me and he says, "Are those your kids?" And I went, "I always thought so." And then he just burst out laughing. And I went, that's how you handle things. I wasn't offended. I just made a joke, and he appreciated it. And he's like, "All right, let's just go on." I've had people in a park stop me and say, when my children were little, "Oh, you're babysitting," and I'd say, for 18 long years. And then they realize, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, it's okay. You want to babysit? So, I always learned that people, they're trying to understand. And a lot of times they only have the knowledge that they have, and they go with that, and they're not trying to be mean. They're not trying to be cruel. Maybe they're even concerned. Take a look at my husband now, my ex. I'm sorry, he's an ex. So that's my ex-husband. He's from Jamaica. And let's say he were taking my granddaughter into her vehicle. My granddaughter's 3/4 white, 1/4 black. So she kind of looks, in the winter, she looks kind of white, totally white. In the summer, she looks a little bit more Hispanic. But in the winter, can you imagine? Let's say she was being a brat head and she was like 4 years old or something. And my ex was like trying to get her into the car, and she's like, yeah. Somebody looks out and they see a black man pulling a white child into a car, the kid screaming, no, no. Do they jump to a conclusion that is not his grandchild? Well, it's not unlikely. It's not unlikely if a black person were pulling a white child into a car, they come to that same conclusion. But my mother-in-law, who was from Jamaica, had a foster daughter who was a blonde white child. So, people might jump to those conclusions. So they call the police, and because they're trying to save a child's life, because they think that something bad is happening. And then what do? You say, well, I'm glad they're concerned about my kid, because I wouldn't want my kid to be kidnapped. I'm glad they're concerned about children being abducted. This is my kid. This is my grandkid. Call somebody or whatever. Here's my pictures. Now see me with my kids, my grandkids. Yeah, that's my grandkid. I'm thinking to myself, you live in whatever world you live in. And if you do something that is more unusual and people don't necessarily recognize immediately and understand immediately, you have to expect there's going to be a little bit of questions. And people are going to maybe get it wrong sometimes. They're not mean people. They're just trying to understand, or they're trying to do something good. So that this woman on Southwest, I'm going to blame her. Hey, stop acting a fool. I don't know why your kid can't talk to people on the plane. I don't know why you're acting the way you're acting. I don't know why you acted that way in front of the police. Or did you just want a lawsuit? Because this is ridiculous. Somebody was truly concerned. Wrong though they may have been, they were truly concerned. And that just, that kind of stuff really bugs me. Alyssa says, my sister-in-law is a dark-skinned Salvadorian, but her son is a very white redhead. The look she gets when her kid misbehaves in the store are hysterical. I think people assume she's kidnapping him. I mean, it's just a fact. I mean, when people see people who don't, quote, match the way they think they should match, they sometimes get confused. Oh, my Lord. Oh, Jamaica has a bobsled team, too. That's my ex-husband. Yeah. Well, he was good for 25 years, but now he's on wife number 3, and I'm not it. Anyway, he was a good father. Let me put it that way. And yes, they do have a bobsled team. It's a great movie, the bobsled movie. It's fun. Well, you said some people need to mind their own business. This is true. It's always this question: are they overdoing something or not? And to get into motive for people is tricky, because the new word Karen is out there, and like there are some true Karens out there. You're like, oh, please stop. You're being ridiculous. And then there's some who they mean well and they really are concerned, and they had some reason, some boxes that they checked. But all I say is, have the best sense of humor you can, because that's how you get through life. I mean, I know I have to have a lot of sense of humor. I have to have a sense of humor to be on YouTube. Okay, let's get to some real stuff here. All right, Lucy Letby. Okay, Lucy Letby is the nurse who's on trial in England, and there's a couple really interesting things about it. I didn't check today. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot to check, because I think the last time I checked was day 14 of Lucy being on trial, which is a pretty damn long time. So let me check. This might be day 15. I'm trying to keep up with whether she. I checked this morning, but I just want to make sure Lucy Letby, see where she's at today. This is the craziest thing ever. Okay, still where I'm at. Okay, so first of all, with the Lucy Letby case, this one I thought was interesting. I'm going to read from 2 different articles. Jury member on Lucy Letby trial was discharged for good personal reasons. Now, Lucy Letby is on trial for the murder of 7 babies at the hospital where she was a nurse. Okay? A member of the jury has been discharged for good personal reasons, the judge has said. The nurse, 33, has been on trial for almost 10 months. Okay, that blows me away right there. You know, this is why I think the civilian jury system is like, it's cruel and unusual punishment for the jury. What the heck? I mean, this is not their profession. 10 months? This is insanity. So she's been charged with all these crimes. The jury of 8 women and 4 men has been deliberating the case now for more than 66 hours over 13 days. So they're at that point where they're deliberating. And obviously, it's almost 2 weeks now, or it is 2 weeks now. They're having issues trying to figure out whether she's guilty or not. And they're probably so exhausted and they're so overwhelmed with so much information from so many experts and so many. I mean, I can't blame them. They just throw their hands and say, screw it. You know, it's just horrifying. So anyway, this one person was no longer able to serve. Let's see why. The judge says, the trial will continue with 11 of you. I will give you further instructions tomorrow when you return to court. There is no significance. This happens in trials not infrequently. You can continue as a jury of 11 as well. I think in the U.S. we replaced that with the alternate jurors, and so we still have 12. I think we have, mind you, I'm not a big trial person, so I think there's 2, and so they can replace them. And this, I guess in the UK, they just say, okay, whatever, 11. The jury has been instructed to try to return verdicts on which they are all agreed upon, and 7 counts of murder and 15 of attempted murder. The loss of 1 juror means they would have to return verdicts on which 10 are agreed if they are not able to reach a unanimous decision, which is interesting that they don't have to be unanimous. Whatever happened to this person? The discharged person, they're not actually saying why the person was discharged, why she went home. Well, maybe she just lost her mind. You know, she just couldn't take it anymore. I really am curious and just broke down and had a, mental breakdown. I want to see my kids. I want my job back. I can't handle the torment of this. I mean, if the fact that there are still that many jurors still there, commend them all. I mean, I don't know how the heck they put up with this crap. It's unbelievable. So anyway, that's Lucy Letby. And so they have not come to a decision yet. Unbelievable. Oh, Lord. Let's see. Okay, so this is interesting you're pointing out here. Alyssa says, what is it with the treatment toward women killing children? The discourse around Lindsay Clancy and Lori Vallow and how delusions of depression cause their actions. Why do men never get that excuse? And that is one of the things, again, I will talk about today. You have to be, okay, you're pointing out, not always, says Elisa. Myra Hindley did not get a pass. Well, Myra Hindley was, the reason she didn't get past is because she was a scuzzy, horrific, creepy, sick person in most evil way possible. Okay, we're not talking about somebody who looks like they're okay and then kills off their kids, or like Lucy Letby. I'm a happy nurse and I love children, and they all die when they're around me. But hey, the guy that just shot his 3 kids, boom, boom, boom. I haven't heard yet what's happening, but I don't hear anybody defending that sucker. They're like a death penalty on him. But interesting, and I'm going to point out a couple of these, which is fascinating. So we have recently, you just pointed out the case of Lindsay Clancy. Lindsay Clancy is still, I guess, in a mental institution. She's still there in this kind of purgatory state. And she's supposedly like paraplegic. At least that's what her lawyer says. Now, what's funny is I never hear from anybody but the attorney. The attorney says she's in this serious state. But I never hear anybody else say she's in this serious state. So I find that really interesting. Is that just his excuse to say, see, she really did try to kill herself? But her husband forgave her for strangling his 3 children, one after the other, in the most brutal way possible, and said he forgave her, which just kind of blows my mind. But let me show you another case, and this is a brand new one out of New Zealand, but from a South African couple. This couple They're from South Africa. They just moved to New Zealand. Lauren and Graham DIckerson. Now, Lauren is the one who killed off the 3 children. 40 years old. She apparently didn't have the proper equipment that our Massachusetts woman had. She didn't have her exercise equipment to strangle the children with good rubber. So she tried something else, and it didn't go well. So then she smothered them. And so she killed all 3 of these little girls. And hubby has forgiven her. So let's see. This is a husband. At sometime he said, at some point, she specifically said she feels like she can sedate the children and so that it can just all be over. And over here, obviously there was something deeper that I didn't recognize. Really? How about that she wanted to sedate the children so it could all be over? What, dude, what did you not recognize? Apparently, she had issues for a long time. She was not happy being a mother. In spite of the fact she said, she loved the children. Yeah, she didn't like them around. They annoyed the hell out of her. She wanted her freedom back. And she stated that to her friends. And she said, well, just trying to, sometimes she'd say, well, good thing you called was trying not to kill the kid. But he said, well, I thought that was joking. But no, she was serious. And he had enough evidence that she was serious about this, that she was not happy in her situation in life. And here's the thing that is again, which is interesting, what you just point out. We have males who kill their whole family off, and we just call them psychopaths. And we don't care one thing. So they were struggling with life, so they were depressed, they just lost their job, or they didn't have enough money, or maybe they just got bored with their wife and kids, like some people have, like Scott Peterson, or I always forget that guy's name. I don't know why. The one with the 2 girls and the wife. I always forget his name. I have a blank spot on that. The one in Colorado, good looking one. He got tired of me and wanted to go with his mistress instead. We seem to think they're bad guys, but the women, I don't know what her problem was. I mean, she was struggling with depression. She was struggling with postpartum depression. She was struggling with this. She was struggling with her marriage. Whatever. That doesn't give you the right to kill your children. I don't care. Andrea Sakata, different case. I'm losing my mind here. Give me names here. What's her face? Give me names. Too many names in my head. Why am I blanking? Not Lori Vallow. The woman who killed all 4 children. Not Susan Smith. One who killed all 4 children in the bathtub. Somebody give me a name. It's out of my head. Bathtub. Bathtub. Not Diane Downs. No. What's her name? I've lost my mind. Yates, thank you. Yates. Okay, Yates, thank you, Andrew Yates. I knew it was Andrew Yates, but Anderson Cotta, it was a case I worked on. I did a video on it, and it was stuck in my head. Andrea Yates. So people forgive her. Her husband forgave her because what? She was in a bad marriage. She got too overwhelmed because she had to homeschool, because she, I don't know what, because she didn't like being a mother anymore. She was fed up with it all. You can be fed up, totally fed up. You can be depressed. I don't care what you are. You also can walk away. You can say, I can't handle this. I have to, I guess got to go away. And your kids go someplace else. If you can't be a mother to them, let your husband take care of little critters, Say, I don't want custody. You take custody. I'm just going to move away, live in an apartment someplace. And if you don't hate me, I'd like to see the kids once in a while. Maybe with you present, You can walk away. You don't have the right to kill your children because you're depressed. And I'm so sick of this thing for females, that you got depressed and you did these things. Your kids had the right to live. You did not have the right to kill them. So anybody can walk away. You can walk away from marriage. You can walk away from your children. You can walk away. People do it. They just disappear. But they don't want to be, whatever it is, a failure. Or they're just hateful toward the children. You ruined my dang life. You made me miserable. So I'm going to get rid of you. So I'm sorry. To me, that's psychopathy. That is not there's no excuse. I'm just not nice about that. I'm just not nice about that. Alyssa says, I think we sugarcoat motherhood and don't discuss challenges. That's true, which plays a role in why some people are gobsmacked by reality. Very true. Still no excuse to kill people. Correct. We do have a problem where we do not have any help. And this is where I've always pushed. Postpartum depression is less chemical than it is you didn't know what was coming. Taking care of a child by yourself. And, a lot of countries, you have your mother's there, your grandmother's there, and two aunts are there. You got like 5, 6 women helping you out. You nurse the baby while they clean and cook. You also have adults to keep company with. So while you're nursing the baby, you're having a nice chit chat. And then when you finish nursing the baby, somebody will swipe that baby out of your arms. They'll carry that sucker around for a while so that you can go to sleep, so you can relax. You have help. In the country I live in, the U.S., a lot of women, they have a baby. Some of them used to work full time. Suddenly they're home, which you're not used to. The husband goes to work. They're isolated. They have no companionship. Mother is halfway across the country. They got nobody to help them. They're become exhausted and tired and just fed up with mothering, which I totally understand. And yes, I agree. We need to do more about that. And I always think that the advantage I had with my first child was I lived in a kind of a ghetto in California, and the women around me were on welfare. And my best friend there, she would just roll on into my apartment. I'd be like laying on the bed nursing. She'd just roll on in and keep me company. And she would bring her kids. We'd go do things together, and it kept me sane. But yes, I totally agree with that. So I think it's not that it's so much chemical as it's cultural, circumstantial, and a massive life change style that is very, very difficult for some people to deal with. But again, doesn't give you the right to kill your kids. And that's the different thing. So people mistake. Most people who have all these issues they find ways to deal with them. They have to. That's what life is about. You get help or you suffer through it. One of those two. You don't kill your kids. The people who are willing to go ahead and kill their children, they got something else going on. And it's not just depression, it's personality disorder, which places their happiness above the children's, and that they deserve to have whatever they have. So I stick with that. And a lot of people think that they don't agree with me on that. So I do get a lot of flack over that, but I stand by it. I do. Because I think it's you go through a lot of crap in your life, but it doesn't give you the right to kill people. You have to leave if you can't handle it. You got to get the hell out of there. But anyway, she killed the kids, 3 of them, and now people are feeling sorry for her already, and the husband's feeling sorry for her. But I never see that for the men. Don't men get overwhelmed? I mean, think about it. Here you are. You're young, and you get married or you have a girlfriend. You're living together, and suddenly this baby appears. The baby's crying all the freaking time. Why can't the husband get overwhelmed? Now his wife is crying all the time. She's a pain in the butt. He's exhausted. She's exhausted. Why isn't he allowed to kill the wife and kid? Or just the kid? Why not? Boyfriends usually do that. The girlfriend has a boyfriend. He's like, yeah, I'm done with this. Because he can't stand it. Again, you can't do that. If you can't handle it, you get out of the kitchen. And that's that. Or you get help. But you don't get to kill. The line, people have this really weird line. There's a difference. There's a line where you might scream, yell. That's one thing. But killing is another thing. I don't understand when people don't see the difference between those two lines. There's a difference between running away and murdering. Running away may not be great, but at least you're not murdering somebody. So, yeah. It just amazes me. Okay, now let's see what I want to talk about. Oh, we're talking about women getting the break. Okay, so someone asked me to talk about, and this is interesting to me, because this again is about a woman got a break, not because she killed her kids, but because she killed her boyfriend. All right, so we have here, let me find her story. It's Claudine Longet. And I don't know how many of you remember Claudine. Well, she was married to, she was married to Andy Williams, and she was a singer, actress, very beautiful, obviously. She had 3 kids with Andy Williams way back when, and then she hooked up with this skier by the name of Spider Savage. And in 1976, she shot him inside their Aspen, Colorado home. So, woman kills boyfriend. Now, her story is, now, he was supposedly at the peak of his career, and everybody adored him, but apparently he was, he was planning to dump her. In other words, he'd had his time with her, and now he was popular, and he was going to go off and be with somebody else. All right. Says here, on the night of the shooting, Claudine Longet appeared to be in shambles. She explained to the police that the single bullet that killed Savage, and if I'm mispronouncing people's names here, I apologize. I didn't go listen to the names, was fired by accident. The tragedy instantly dominated pop culture. Yes, okay. So she went to trial, and that raised more questions than answers. And here's what happened with her on the trial. Let me find it here. At the time that they got together, these 2 lovers, that she had won $24 million in the settlement in 1975, so she had money. Soon enough, however, drugs, parties, and jealousy came into play. And this is often the problem behind a relationship with 2 people. And when one of them gets shot, often there is that the person's trying to leave, they found out you're cheating on them, whatever. So Aspen was flooded with cocaine at the time, and in spite of Savage's good looks and fame, attracted invites to countless parties. But sources close to Claudine Longet claim that she prohibited Savage from attending a best breast party. I might have said no to that one too. And that she even threw a wine glass at his head in a fit of jealousy. Again, that to me is okay. I get it. You know, I have thrown a plate in my life. But a plate I didn't like, you know. I made sure you're like, oh, I'm so angry. Oh, not that one. This one. Makes a big noise when it smashes on the wall. Yeah. Okay. Life is not always smooth, but it's not murder. It's a plate throwing thing. All right. But apparently the jealousy got the best of her. And on that day, Savage came home after skiing the slopes of Aspen and stripped down to his underwear with the intent of taking a shower. Now, this is Claudine's story. And it reminds me so much of him. All right. This is, oh, no, I forgot his name too. Dang it all. I'm not good with names. I tell you, what the heck is his name? He, by the way, hold on a second. He went up for his early parole, and he didn't get it. They turned him down in South Africa. Come on, what the heck? Oscar Pistorius. Yeah, his parole bid collapsed because he shot his girlfriend, claimed that he thought an intruder was in the bathroom, and shot her 3 times, which was a ludicrous story. So, yeah, that didn't happen. And he deserves where he's at, but he didn't get, in my opinion, enough time. But at least got, 13 years? But Claudine, on the other hand, because she's female, didn't get that. Let's see what she got. Here's her story. His story was, he heard somebody in the bathroom. He didn't realize she had gotten out of bed. I mean, she had gone to the bathroom. That's the claim. So in the middle of the night, he goes to the bathroom, hears a noise behind the door, thinks there's an intruder, and shoots through the door. Get out of here. I did one of the videos on that, by the way. I'll try to remember to link it below. So anyway, he's in his underwear. Claudine Longet comes in with an imitation World War II model Luger pistol and shot him in the stomach. An ambulance was called, and they arrived, found him slumped over and near death. He was pronounced dead en route to the hospital. Now, she claims that the pistol accidentally misfired as Savage was teaching her how to use it. Because when you're ready to take a shower and you're in your underwear, that is the very moment you want to teach your girlfriend how to shoot an old revolver. And you're going to make sure that the revolver is pointing at you and is loaded. Anyway, the authorities were dubious. Oh, no kidding. Yeah. So now during the trial, now here's the trial. She says the gun had fired by accident. She claimed she had found the Luger knockoff, it's some kind of version of it, on the day of Savage's death and allegedly pointed it at him while making bang-bang noises when it suddenly misfired, killing him. So now her story's changed. So wait a minute, he's going to take a shower and you say, look, honey, bang, bang. Seriously? That's your story? Oh my God. But friends said he was intent on breaking up with her and he was done with her and the kids and he wanted his bachelor lifestyle back. All right, and there was an alleged diary entry that supposedly things were not well, and he wanted to go to this party alone, and she was suspicious. And it says here, Longet, but then again, Longet says, I picked up the gun and walked toward the bathroom, saying to Spider, I would like you to tell me about this gun. I kept walking and I had the gun in my hand. Okay, again, he's taking a shower. This is not usual when you pull a gun out and say, I want you to tell me about this gun. First of all, why is she even have any interest of that gun? And why is she holding it like a gun? Why is she not holding it like this, for example? Or saying, I'd like to know about that gun over there in the drawer. No, I want to know about this gun. No. Savage assured her it wouldn't fire. Sure. I'm sure that's what he said. Oh, don't worry about pointing it at me, hon. It's not going to fire. Moments before it did. Longet then broke into hysterics. I told him to try to make it talk to me. He was fainting. I tried to give him mouth to mouth, but I didn't know how. Okay, this is the dumbest story ever. Anyway, what did she get for this? She got, after the 4 days trial, they found a criminally negligent homicide. She was sentenced to 30 days of her choosing in prison and a $250 fine. Oh my God. In my opinion, it was a premeditated homicide. Premeditated, just like Oscar Pistorius. But she gets 30 days and a $250 fine. And that's the problem. That is the problem. Oh, goodness. Unbelievable. Well, he didn't teach her how to shoot. She just claims he was trying to do that. That's the problem. Yeah, it was our Reva Steenkamp. Yeah, she was a beautiful woman. She hooked up with the wrong guy, let me tell you. And by the way, hi, Joe. I did say best to breast party. Why weren't you invited? I don't know. Do you have a wife at home with a gun? Maybe that's why. I'm violent and demanding when it comes to names. This is so true. I have to because I just can't remember them. People. I know people do. Oh, what's your age? You can't remember things. No, it's because I have so many names from so many cases in my head. So that's why I depend on you guys. You're here for a reason. You got to give me those names. Yeah, these things. The letting women off the hook. People just have a hard time understanding that women can be that dangerous. They really can. And I'm going to do an entire show on, I'm going to do a video on this. Where'd it go? Oh, where'd you go? Okay, where is she? This woman. I'm going to do a show on her. The Innocence Project just got her off of, she's been in prison for quite a while now. She was babysitting a little boy, and he died with 5 paper towels wadded up and stuck down his throat. She was convicted, and she spent all this time in prison. And the Innocence Project got her out because they found some medical people who say it could have happened that he put those things in his mouth himself and choked himself. So she's getting out. I'm going to do a whole thing on that because this is one of these situations again where I see the Innocence Project moving in, and they'll find some defense. Now they'll find some scientists, or they'll find some pathologists, they'll find somebody, and if they can get a few of them to go with their story, they can avoid the whole jury process. They don't even go for appeal. They just get them to sign off on it. This is the new thing, so I'm going to talk about that a lot, but I won't get into that here. But fascinating. So I want to mention some missing people. This woman was the one I said went missing in Mexico. What's strange about this, her name is Monica de Leon, and it's really weird. I'm just curious about the outcome. Sometimes I don't know the outcomes of these things, but I find them very unusual. She was a California woman who was down in Mexico, in Jalisco, and she was working down there. She was walking her dog, and she gets kidnapped off the street, which clearly there were vehicles pulled up and she was kidnapped off the street. That's not in question. She was kept 8 months, and she was released. Since she's been released, she has not been willing to talk about anything. She's not discussing what had happened to her. And it's a little weird because she's just, let me see what it says here. The doting dad that you just saw in this picture, that's his dad, I think, has said his daughter has so far refused to take therapy services offered by the FBI. She has also yet to fully divulge the details of what she endured during the 8 months held captive, even to her loved ones. She looks good and she just wants to see her friends. She doesn't want therapy right now. She knows all her options. We're not going to force her. But nobody said why the heck she was kidnapped. And I have to admit, I did laugh when somebody said this. They said, well, I guess they fed her. She's not starving. I have no answer for this because usually when somebody's kidnapped in Mexico, it's because the family did look like they were pretty well off. They usually have ransoms. I don't know why they're not saying the ransom was paid and that's why she's back. And 8 months is a dang long time to keep somebody. So I find that really odd. It's just a strange case. Waiting to hear what happened, but I don't know at this point. Here's another interesting case at the moment. I talked to you about the other week. I couldn't find the woman's picture. Miriam Toure, I'm not sure how to pronounce. Also Miriam Silla. She's 60 years old, 5'7", and these are her many looks. She's from Africa. She speaks English and French, and she likes to take a walk in the local neighborhood before prayers in the evening. Okay. So she goes her son said she went off for a walk, and I looked to make sure that somebody saw her on the walk because one of my thoughts was, did the son do something to her? But apparently somebody saw her on a walk. Now, this is Greenbelt, Maryland. This is close to where I live. And that little spot down there is kind of, I don't know if that's where, I think that's where she lived, but somebody saw her walking down that street toward that park area. And that park area has a couple baseball fields on it, and it does have some kind of trees and brush, but it doesn't look like there's walking paths back there. So, and there is this one road, which I find interesting. It's cutting through there. It's the one main thoroughfare. No, it's not fast or anything. It's pretty slow. It's a slow road, but it's the only place I see where she's walking toward that park or at the park that she would come in contact with somebody. It has now been, they just gave this is a press conference from today. The police in Greenbelt said it's been 10 days now. And they've not found her. And they did search that area, the whole area that took the dogs in and everything, and came up with nothing, which is a pretty weird situation. Now, one of the problems we've had recently is somebody claiming that they were kidnapped who was not kidnapped. So what happens now is, which is why I think that should be a felony, we have this woman who's gone missing. She's 10 days missing. Why is she missing? Well, she had a pattern, and this can be dangerous. She had a habit of walking a specific time of day. She was a teacher, and now it is summer, but she's a teacher, and she likes to do prayers in the evening or whatever she's doing. So there are people who see her regularly on this walk that she takes. Now, that can inspire two things. One is some serial killer creep could grab her and take her off. Except she's 60 years old. Now, I'm going to say she looks damn good. All right? She looks like a pretty lady. She's not, I don't think she's overweight. She could be mistaken for somebody younger. Usually serial killers, if that's what this is, a serial homicide type situation where she's grabbed for sexual homicide, usually that's not their target. Okay? But I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying that's usually not the target. So the first you tend to look for people who she knows, ex-husband, ex-boyfriend, somebody who's got it out for her, that knows her routine and would pull up on that road and she say, hey, come here and talk to me or whatever. And she comes over there and they grab her and they take off with her and she's never returned. So right now, if, as a profiler, what would I tell the police? Because if I were brought in on this case, well, first of all, I don't have a lot of information. I would, of course, talk to all the people. I'd talk to the son. I looked at all the police reports and all the interviews and all that. And the police are doing the exact right thing. They are doing a lot of searching, and they're also going out to the community, and they're also going door to door. People are going door to door to ask questions. I'm very impressed with the work they're doing, because they're taking it very seriously, and I think they should. Could she have just gone off? Well, she's left everything at home. So it's unlikely that she's just gone off. But I think if I'm correct, let me see. I can't remember if there was she left her phone at home too, which, hold on, let me see about that. Let me find it, hold on. Where is it? Okay, where are you? Oh, here we are. Okay. I wanted to see what was left at home, because that's sometimes very interesting. Let's see what happened here. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any information on that. Hold on. I was trying to see if she left her purse at home. I was trying to see if she left her phone at home too, and I can't seem to locate it here. And that does sometimes make a difference, because we have to look at why she would not take certain things with her. Yeah, I don't see anything on it in this article. For example, when I go walking, I take my phone, and I always do this. Okay, that's where my phone is. All right. You didn't need to know that, did you? Hey, maybe Joe needs to know that. But that's where I keep the phone, because it's immediately accessible to me. If I fall, I don't. If the phone's in my hand, the phone flips out. It's right here. It's safe. That's where I stuff my phone. Now, if I go out and I take this phone with me every place. I take it down to feed the animals. I take it if I walk. I take it everywhere, and sometimes even in the house, I take it everywhere. Mostly because, I feel like if I fall, even in my house, I'm like, help me, I can't get out here. I live alone, it's like, oh, I'm screwed. So I want to be sure I have a phone that's within reach, and this is the best place for me to have it within reach until I start getting these fancy things where you put them on your arm, and if you fall over, it alerts 911, but that's where I keep my phone. My question is, if you're going to go for a walk, why would you not bring your phone with you? So the question is, did she bring her phone? Did she bring anything else with her? And so sometimes when people leave phones at home, it's because they don't want to be tracked. And that's why you want to know these things. If she always takes the phone with her and she leaves it at home, maybe she has somebody picking her up and she's disappearing. But maybe she never takes her phone. So these are the questions you have to ask as a police or a profiler to find out all the details about their normal behavior and see whether anything abnormal is happening or whether it's absolutely the same as usual. And this woman has been kidnapped. And it's not looking good right now. But I don't know about her life. She's, school is starting. She's a French immersion teacher. Everybody seems to think she's a really nice person. She seems to be very stable, as far as I know. But then again, I don't know. And so this is a problem. When you're outside again, you don't know, and you need to talk to everybody and all the family and stuff to find out what's going on in her life. Does she have any boyfriends, exes, any mental issues, anything going on? We don't know, but they're doing a good job, and I just want to comment on. They're doing a good job. I'm going to mention one more person. I'll go to your comments. This woman, her boyfriend reported her missing. She's also in Maryland. She was on a Maryland hiking trail on Sunday. She went hiking or walking or whatever she does, and she didn't come home. She went about 6:30 in the evening. Still light outside. She didn't return. 11:30, called the police. He became a suspect in the eyes of the public because he's got a shady past and he has some domestic violence in his past, and I guess he had drug or alcohol issues because he said he's been clean for like so many months, or like a year and a half, and he loves her dearly and he wouldn't do anything to her, and he's really upset that everybody's pointing at him. I get that, but her body was found the next day by somebody on that trail, fairly near the trail head. So where she pulled her car in, fairly near there was her body was found. Now, first of all, the first thing I'm bugged by is what the police said, which I think is kind of a ridiculous thing to say. Let me find it. Okay, maybe this is it. Or is this just the boyfriend? I didn't do anything, he said to her. He's been 15 months clean, although his history isn't good. Malicious destruction of property, criminal second-degree assault, resisting arrest, drug possession, disorderly intoxication, violating restraining orders. So, first of all, he's been supposedly clean for 15 months. She has to make a decision what she wants to do with somebody who's got a background with that. But maybe he's a really nice guy who has never done anything in that whole year and a half, and I don't know when they got together. But anyway, he reported her missing at 11:30. She had been seen, but she had been seen. Now, this is the first question I had. Did anybody see her walking? The same thing I had with the other woman in Greenville. Did somebody see her outside her home? In other words, when a boyfriend says, oh, yeah, my girlfriend went walking and she never returned, the question is, did anybody see her? Because he could just take her body, he could kill her in the house, take her body to a location. And this is the second thing I looked at. How close to the trailhead was she from where her car was? Because if she's very, very far away from the car, it's unlikely that anybody would carry her if she's already been killed way, way, way far away, or force her to go very, very far away. This is still daylight. People are on the trail. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. So if the guy took her car, and I don't know how far away they live, let's say he took her car to the trailhead after it got dark and dumped her body, it's supposedly in this tunnel area. And she looked like she'd been hit with rocks and things. And he could just take rocks and smash her up there just so it looks like she was attacked there. Or she could be half out of it, not totally dead. He could drop dead and kill her there. So the police have to determine, first of all, that somebody saw her. And I believe somebody did see her on the trail. I think so. I thought I read that somewhere. And I might have the wrong. Okay, there was another one. Hold on a second. Let me see if I have the other comment. Can't find it. No, of course I can't find it. That's all right. This is it. Okay, I found it. They said here, now let's see. They found her body. 37-year-old Rachel Morin's boyfriend reported to the police at 11:30 she failed to return from her 6 p.m. walk on the Mont Paw Trail. When she did not return, he reported her missing, telling police her car was at the trailhead in Bel Air, but she was not. So I guess he went up there theoretically to look to see what's going on, if see if she's left that area, and found her car there. When deputies searched the area, they were able to locate the vehicle at William Street entrance to the trail. Then they found the next day the body of this woman. It says here, this is the thing that bugged me. The sheriff goes on to say, he understands homicides can cause a lot of concern in the community, especially at a trail like Mont Paw Trail, which is traditionally known as a safe place, a safe space, a safe space. I'm sorry, a trail is never a safe space for a woman, ever, unless you're with people. I mean, there are places around where I'm at, and I love the trails. And it creeps me out because sometimes what will happen is I'll be walking down the trail, which is next to the road, or it's in a location where there's lots of people. And then suddenly it does this bendy, windy thing, and it goes into the trees for a while, and then over a little bridge, and then through some more trees, and then comes back out of the road. That section is not safe because that's where Mr. Serial Killer is going to be hiding. He's not going to hide on right next to the road. He's going to be lurking around in the trees. And as you come walking or jogging around that corner and he's not seen anybody for the last whatever, that's when he grabs you and pulls you into the trees and you're dead. So there's no such thing as a safe trail for a woman unless that trail has witnesses on it. And even during the day, now a good portion of women get killed on early morning jogs and evening jogs where it's either dusk or dawn. They shouldn't be out there. But still, an isolated location in the day is just as dangerous. And, because you're by yourself and there's nobody else around. And if you run into that one person, and sometimes a serial killer will actually walk trails far away from the trailhead just to see if he can find somebody isolated enough. Sometimes they're too lazy and they just stay near the trailhead. But so this is the trailhead here that she was fairly close to. Is either there was a tunnel there and it was daytime. Did somebody just grab her at a moment of opportunity and put her in the tunnel and beat her to death? Don't know. Or was, because she's near the trailhead, the issue is the boyfriend problem is that that's where you would go to dump a body after dark. But I think somebody saw her. Yes. Elliot was seen, wait a minute, last seen at her home in Bel Air at 2:20 p.m. on Saturday, wearing a green shirt and blue jeans, which is meaningless unless it's not her boyfriend. She was also seen heading into the wooded area behind Cypress Drive in Bel Air. So I don't know who the somebody was. Now, we've got to be sure that the somebody actually saw her and not somebody else who looked like her. All right? Because then that can throw the whole investigation off. You say, oh, see, somebody saw her, so it couldn't be the boyfriend. What if the somebody didn't really see her? But if the somebody really did see her, or 3 or 4 people absolutely saw her and can identify her clothing and her looks and everything else, then she was on the trail, and theoretically the boyfriend wasn't. So he might be in the clear. This is what they're going to have to be looking at. So I'll be looking forward to both of these cases and seeing what happens with them. I want to check on some of your comments here. Let's see. Okay, hold on a second. I'm moving down here. Oh, this is interesting. Alyssa says, I could never imagine just walking away from my life. I would have no clue where to start over. That's why I never assume people walk away. Oh, and they do. Men do it more than women. The old there's two versions. Apparently, the white people version is the guy goes, I'm going to go get some cigarettes and never comes back. Apparently, the black people version is I'm going to get some milk at the store for some kid or something, and it doesn't come back. Though there's a woman, I think it wasn't, I can't remember, it was a Maryland woman. She went missing. She had kids and everything. She just walked away one day, and they found her recently in Florida. After like 20 years. It was crazy. She did just get what, and I will say this. I prefer that over killing the kids. It would be nice if they'd leave a note. That's the part that bothers me. That's just cruel to me. Walk away, just leave a note, one that obviously is your own handwriting, or make a phone call that's, or record something that says, look, I can't handle it anymore. I'm going off. It's not that I didn't love you guys. I'm a mess and I just can't be here because I'm a danger to everybody. I'm going to leave. I'll contact you one day if I can. That's what you have to do. So the people at least have some clue what's going on. But yeah, they can track you if your phone is on. Yeah, they can. My bra is my primary purse too. Yeah, I used to laugh at those old ladies who stuff all this stuff in their bra. And I'm like, kind of understanding it now. Yeah, I don't have the life alert yet, but there is a better thing now, by the way, for anybody who does have issues. Someone dear to me is using one of these now. So they put that on their hand. And what happens is if they collapse, there's so much time you have to it starts going like, I forgot, it goes beep, beep or something. So it gives you so much time for you to stop it before it calls 911, gets help to you. So in case you just, for whatever reasons, hit your hand down low and I think she fell, or you did fall, but you're fine, you can stop it. But if you don't respond quick enough, 911 will come out. I think that's pretty cool. But I haven't started one of those yet. Can't hide a tissue paper. Oh, that's a bummer. I'm not so sure mine is that hidden either. It's like, but sometimes I put the phone side out in my glove, Let's see. Sarah says, every Oregon hike is located in a place where no one can hear you scream. Well, there you go. It's unfortunate. Pat would never have fake boobs. No, I mean, I need the other direction. I gained weight, so I'd like those to shrink a wee bit. But yeah. I'm not into the knife. You know what I mean? I don't like surgery. If they had a new methodology, I'm going to just say this out here. Jane Fonda looks so much better than me. And I know she's using a lot of makeup and a lot of video fixing, but she's also had tremendous amount of surgery. And if they would ever come up with a way to look younger without all the surgical crap, that was just like some kind of like, I don't know what, something you just wipe it on your face and it goes like this. And I don't care if I look like I used to or look like I do now. I just want to look better. I'm good with that. But they don't have that. So Alyssa says, I love nature walks, but I stick to the streets because I don't like being isolated. And it's sad and scary. And it's really too bad. It's really too bad. It really is. Yeah, that's why it's nice to walk with a group with something like that, which is really good. Let's see. You have to go to the best Beverly Hills surgeons or you come out botched. Yeah, I can't afford those. Yeah, besides which, I just don't like knives. I don't have the energy. Oh, you saw my Facebook post where I aged myself and you still look beautiful. Well, 20 years later, I aged myself to at the time I think I was 64 and the real picture, and I've aged myself to 84. And it's kind of a shock, you're like, whoa. But now that I see myself, I'm like, okay, now I know where I'm headed. I can just get over it. So, all right, let me see what else I wanted to do before we run out of time here. Let's see. This guy. Oh, okay. This guy was interesting to me. This was a DNA thing. And by the way, thank you guys. Most of these things I'm doing are because you requested them. So, and if you don't request things, sometimes, I find stuff myself, but sometimes, you find the cool things to talk about. This guy, okay, let me find him. His name is Gary Dean Artman. What's interesting about him, and I'm going to go to the Law and Crime site. By the way, one of the better sites is the Dan Abrams Law and Crime site. Sometimes when I'm looking at different information outside of the Daily Mail, which sometimes actually does have good crime stuff, they have a better site than a lot of the other garbage stuff out there, Law and Crime. Florida man arrested in a 1996 cold case rape and murder of a pregnant woman of 2. Now, it says here, Sharon K. Hammock was only 29 years old when she was raped and brutally murdered near the tiny village of Caledonia, Michigan. Now, almost 26 years later, police believe they've found her killer. Gary Dean Artman, 64, stands accused of numerous crimes in relation to the fatal October 3rd, 1996 attack on the mother of 2, including open murder, felony murder, and criminal and sexual conduct in the first degree. All right, and he is awaiting extradition. Okay? So Hammock's sister's happy to be here. We got him. All right, how did they get him? All right. Apparently, by the way, she was discovered, she disappeared. She discovered the same day she was killed by a delivery driver who found her body rolled up inside a blanket. The scene was disturbing. The young woman, a sex worker, and again, guys, just dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. What can I say? A sex worker who struggled with addiction, which is the second thing, had been raped. I'm going to also be talking about somebody, I'm going to point this out in a second. It was a request from, not that, that's not it. It was a request from Beth, who said, can you talk about the serial killer project through the FBI, which was the serial killer highway trucker type the project. I'll talk about that in a second. But again, we talk about people who are very easy victims, and prostitutes and drug users are 2 of them. Hitchhikers are another one. Because you're alone, you're desperate for a ride, you're desperate for drugs, you're desperate for money. One of those 3 things. And you're alone, and you'll get in a vehicle with somebody you don't know, who has obviously not the greatest intentions usually anyway. The scene was disturbing. The young woman, a sex worker who had struggled with addiction, had been raped, stabbed, hogtied, and then left to die in a field of tall grass. Her killer left DNA. That's what eventually led to his arrest, which is interesting because clearly he's never committed a felony since, or he'd be in the CODIS bank to match, but at least that would seemingly like that. Anyway, they're also investigating other local murders of prostitutes. They're strangled, one was raped. So they got a bunch of them here. Wait a minute. That's a little confusing, poorly written. I can't figure that out. Anyway, they used familial DNA in this case, all right? Now, what happened was, when they used the familial DNA, where did they link them up? I think they linked them through, well, let me find it here. Okay, they linked him through, I think he was the only son of somebody, so the only one available to do it. Now, the person who committed each offense came from the same parents, all right. So they hooked him up to familial DNA, but here's what I always say, it's very important. Guy lives in Florida. And sometimes people say, well, that I don't believe that familial DNA. You're gonna just get anybody. You can just say anybody did it, and then you say, okay, you got that, then you match his DNA to the crime, but hey, he lives in Florida. Yeah, he did live in Florida, but turns out there's only one son of this couple who had any ties to Michigan, and that was Gary Dean Artman. Yes. So yes, he lived in Florida, but he had ties to the very location. Yep, you sure did. And there was only one son who they only had one son. Only one son with the ties. And those sons didn't have the ties to that area. Now listen to this. And by his own admission, he was living and working near the murder scene and was present in the state of Michigan when the homicide was committed. So this is how you know, they're not just railroading somebody here. I mean, if he'd never been in Michigan, then you'd have a question about it. But he actually worked and lived in the area at the time. Now, he's a serial killer. And the question is, how many more has he killed? And there's apparently a whole bunch of women in that area who actually were murdered. Hammock was one of dozens of sex workers killed in the Grand Rapids area in the 1990s. Most of those murders are cold cases and remain unsolved. Well, I'm going to say he hogtied her, raped her, and murdered her. That's pretty serious, especially the hogtying part is unusual to do because most of them don't bother. I mean, he did that. I don't know if he did. I can't figure out if it's outside scene or he did it in a van or a vehicle of some sort or whatever. But I'm going to say that is a serial killer. And this is the other thing I always try to say. People say, why do you call the guy a serial killer? He's only connected to one crime. And I say this: anybody who crosses the line to rape and murder a complete stranger is a serial killer. We just don't know what he's done or what he would do. But he is a serial killer. We just haven't found the rest of the series. Or maybe if it's a first kill, he doesn't yet and gets caught. He won't have time to do the rest of the series. But he's a serial killer. So always look for links. Always. Because it's not a one and done type of thing. Like, I just want to try out raping and murdering somebody. Nah, that's there are some other kinds of crimes where people, like teenagers just want to see what it's like to stab somebody 50 times. That can be a one-time crime because they just want the experience. But usually when it comes down to sexual homicide, sexual rapes and sexual homicides, always serial offenders, always. And so you don't need to have proof that they're linked to two others. The FBI originally said you can't call somebody a serial killer unless they're linked to 3 sexual homicides. And I always thought that was nonsense. I'm like, why do you have to wait till 3? Isn't 2 good enough? And I'd said that for years. And one day that the FBI changed it to 2. Okay. And so I'm glad they changed it to 2. But then again, why does it have to be 2? Because if you do it once, you'll do it again. So I'm okay with saying, and if nothing else, at least say suspected serial killer. Put the suspected on if you can't go with straight up with serial killer. Just go with suspected so that you keep looking for all the other crimes that you may have committed. So that's a lovely fellow. That's right. They changed it to 2. And I argued this for so many years. And there's a really interesting article. I'll have to find it again where the FBI actually said they changed it to 2. And then in the same article, they trashed me. They called me that television lady, which is kind of funny because I've been the one fighting for the 2. But They didn't mention my name. They said that televisionally, but I had nothing to do with them changing their minds, mind you. They made that decision. So, let's see here. So this is so the important thing here is to understand that, generally speaking, when they find a DNA, and they're talking about semen DNA, we're not talking about touch DNA, which is always a little more questionable. But sometimes even touch DNA can be useful in the sense that how would that person, if they didn't even live in the area, end up committing that crime? And then you find out that he really was in the area. Then you can say, okay, that touch DNA is pretty good. But you have to have the person connected to the place, and that's the main important thing. Now I want to get to the issue of the this is Beth's question. I included a link to a video about locations around the U.S. about murder victims being found along U.S. highways. You may have already covered this. I don't think I did, but I thought it was interesting. What stood out was all the dots that appear on the map. It makes me think, how many serial killers could be out there? How long can they go before they strike again? If someone is in his 20s, could he theoretically still be killing in his 60s? And the answer to that is yes. All right, now let's take a look at what Beth was looking at. This is from News Nation. FBI says hundreds of murder victims found on U.S. highways, and that is a picture of the chart. Okay, now to go get more information there. This is called the Highway Serial Killers Initiative, and I actually learned about this way back. I was in Michigan doing a police training thing. I was a speaker at this 3-day thing, and so I did my speaking, and they didn't pay me, but I got my hotel and my plane fare, and I got to go to the other the 3 days of seminars, which was great because that's part of my learning experience, is always to learn more. And so I gave my talk, and then the guy from the FBI was doing the highway serial killer stuff, and I really liked it. There is this interesting problem with a VICAP. Now, some of you don't know what VICAP is. And this guy, I don't know who the heck he is. This is probably from Reddit or something. VICAP, that is where when there's a certain kinds of homicides, especially sexual homicides, the police department puts this information into VICAP. And if all the departments do that, then the FBI looks at them and sees that there's similarities, like they were all strangled, they're all stabbed, whether they were, what race they were, what age they were, what locations, so they can try to identify serial homicides. But he points out some interesting problems with it. It's been heavily criticized for not being able to help catch many active serial killers. That is accurate. VICAP has not been a great success. So let's see. It says here, we go further. It says the problem they had was getting the input from the police departments. If you look further down, it says to submit the form alone was 30-some questions, most of them multi-part. And that's one of the problems. So the police were looking at this massively long form, and they're like, oh, hell with it. And they didn't submit it. And therefore, they weren't getting enough submissions to make these, to really look at things. Another problem was the concept of VICAP, that the serial killer has one MO, one modus operandi, or method of operation. And therefore, if you find these women in this area, they're all going to be strangled, and they're all going to, I don't know, have an arm behind their head, that'll be signature, and they weren't really able to link too well. So the problem is, yes, I mean, if you're working with, and the police departments don't even like the FBI getting involved in this stuff too. They're just going to stay away from us. So there's a lot of agency issues, not people working together. But the problem is, when you have a sexual homicide, it should immediately be considered a suspected serial homicide. That was my argument. It's like, you can't just take this in isolation and not look around and not look to the next jurisdiction, because a guy might live here, commit the crime a mile away from his house, and then he loses his job and his sister kicks him out. So he moves over to cousin's house. Cousin is across the jurisdictional line, may just be 20 miles away. And a year later, he commits a crime over there. And these two jurisdictions don't talk and they don't link. Why are these two sexual homicides that are, sort of close? And so the idea of ICAP was to have all these things be entered so that there was a way to start linking, but it just doesn't seem to work really well. Now, as far as the highway one goes, the concept here is that, again, somebody has to enter that information. But they found out there were, in this particular case, it says, since the Highway Serial Killings Initiative began in 2004, you all actually can hear me. Just a second, I have to ask a question. You all actually can hear me through this entire show? What the heck? How, I just realized my microphone is on the other side of the table. Are you having trouble hearing me? What the hell? I don't know why I'm on the wrong microphone. Did I forget? You actually can hear me. Am I louder now? You can hear me. Wow, that is weird. I literally forgot to move the microphone over to here. And you can still hear me. Okay. Was I really quiet though? Am I louder now? Or am I so bizarre? My technology thing is much better. Oh, now it's much better. Oh, that sucks. Sorry about that, guys. I can't believe I did a whole show. And I wish somebody had said something sooner. Oh my God. I sounded echoey. Well, that's because my stupid thing was on the other side of the table. And I never even noticed it was missing. I sounded muffled. Oh, sorry about that, guys. I wish I had known. Okay, I just blew it. Okay, sorry about that. I forgot. I looked over there. My microphone was like, I forgot to move it. Oh, what an idiot. Okay, well, there goes that video. I don't think I can prove it. Anyway, too late now. But so they found all these people who are dead on the sides of highways. And so the question is, why are they there? Well, a lot of them are prostitutes who work at truck stops. And then there's drug users and, again, hitchhikers. So they're looking at a lot of truckers who go through these places and grab these women, and then they're serial killer truckers. But, of course, not everyone is a serial killer trucker, right? It could be a regular person. So regular people stop at truck stops, too. Regular people go down the highway and can pick somebody up. Some of them could be hitchhiking and not even be at the truck stop. Somebody could be doing a drug deal at the truck stop and not be a trucker. And some of those bodies may be dumped near highways just because the local people are near highways. So it's hard to prove that these are all truckers, and a good portion of them are probably not truckers. So truckers are like, hey, don't call us serial killers, man. So it's an interesting project. Is it having great success? And not necessarily. And one of the problems when you look at any of these things is you start initiatives and there's very little information that goes out to the public or even to within agencies have how well anything is working. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And if it doesn't work well, you're wasting a lot of money. And you need to find a better way to do things. And personally, I don't know that either VICAP or this initiative work well. So are we just spinning our wheels, doing a lot of stuff that we could take our money and put it into better usage? I want to mention this one woman who was on the show. Her name is, what is her name? Where did her name go? Oh, well, her name is missing. Darn it all. She's a circuit judge in West Virginia. I'm going to put this link below because I really liked her a lot. 20 years of law experience, litigated hundreds of homicides as senior assistant prosecutor. Now, remember I said in the last video I did that one of the problems is they're not vetting people. Well, in this case, this is actually somebody who has actually a nice history here. I liked what she had to say. She said some really interesting things and didn't just kowtow and agree with the host. The host said, hey, I think that maybe they're not going after these women because they're prostitutes and don't care about them and they're not getting, and she goes, no, not exactly that. The problem is a lot of prostitutes move around a lot. They don't talk to family. They don't let people know what's going on. They sometimes even lie. And so people don't know they're missing. The families don't know they're gone. And nobody knows. So that's why they're often they're not found or not even reported missing sooner than they could be. And then she says sometimes when somebody finally reports them missing, it's just one person, not a cluster of people. So you don't think serial killer, you just think, well, she's just missing. So she kind of corrected that, which I liked. And then he talked about that today with all the video on the roads and all this stuff. Hey, this should just really solve the problem. And she said, she again corrected that. She said, well, yes, we have video, but the video is not always clear. People always we see a person, we can't see a face. We can't see the vehicle very well. Then sometimes we have, there's so much video out there. It's overwhelming, too much information. You can't go through it all. I really liked it because she was very much realistic about what she had to say. And she actually had some interesting things to say. So that was somebody they brought on that I thought was really worth listening to. And I wish they brought more people who weren't just talking crap, that had valuable information. Because, I mean, you go and you do these shows and you would like to hear something that has some meaning, especially when you're talking about national television. And these are people who have the money to put these things together. They should first of all, let people speak longer, not just bring them on for 1 second, then move to the next guest and the next guest and the next guest, and then they all argue. It's all dumb stuff. Why not just have your time, have that one person on so you can have a real discussion? So, but I liked what she had to say. I thought it was really good. So, very interesting. And she, yeah, I liked her. It was nice to like somebody on there. Let's see. You can hear me fine now. Her name is above her picture. Oh, I couldn't see it here. Sorry, on my screen I couldn't see it. I'm glad. I liked her. So I say I like to recommend people to other people when I think they're really good. So let's see what we have here. Oh, this was interesting. This is just a guy this guy was accused of stabbing this man. He got 40 years in prison, and where'd the guy go? That wasn't him. This is the guy that got stabbed. And he goes home, and somehow this guy accesses his apartment. And he said, let me see if I can find it. Okay, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Okay. Oh, there we are. Okay, I found it. So this guy stabs him. He sexually assaulted and stabbed this guy to death. And he claims, the 22-year-old, that he was invited to his home after meeting him on the street. And they went in, they had a consensual sexual encounter before an intruder hit him over the head and attacked both of them. Of course, he's in perfect condition. And then they found out later on that this killer, the creepy, not him, that's the victim. The creepy, oh, sorry, that's her. Where is he? There he is. This guy had stalked other people in the area. Okay. And so it wasn't just this guy. It says here that eventually said it was basically a thrill kill. And let me find out what it said about the actual killing. This was not a sexual encounter. It says that, I'm trying to find what it said. This guy's been jumping out of the bushes at people and attacking them and all that. They found, apparently this guy, the problem was he got drunk. And he was coming back from the place he was drinking at, back to his house. And the killer tracked him into the home. He followed him home and assaulted him when he lay on his bed and stabbed him at least 20 times. They found DNA on the victim. They found a single print matching his ring finger on the bedroom door. And the bag that he was carrying, they found the victim's blood on it. And then he did confess to this, having intrusive thoughts about killing at random with a knife. So this poor guy just went out drinking for the night, came home, and was kind of like out of it. And, when you're out of it, this is a problem people don't understand. When you're opening up your door, it's easy for somebody to come in right after you. Now, the guy is found in bed doesn't mean that he had sex with this guy or wanted to have sex with this guy. Apparently, from what I'm seeing, he's heterosexual. So it's not even necessarily that they had anything that was going on. It's also possible the guy said, hey, started talking to him when he was drunk. And he said, hey, can I make a phone call from your house? I lost my phone. And the guy said, sure, come on in. Who knows? But what a lot of times the killer does is blame the victim in some way. That's your fault. I was invited in. We were going to have consensual sex. And then something went wrong. And so it's unfortunate for the victim because the victim can never say it didn't happen that way because the victim is dead. And this guy, basically all he wanted to do was kill him because he thought it was thrilling. So that's what he did. I'm going to do this one for the last one here. This is just an interesting one where this woman on the right, her name was Portia Woodruff. Supposedly some guy had sex with a woman in a parking lot. And then he was set up and this other guy came out with a knife and and he was carjacked. And so anyway, he reported to the police what the woman looked like. And then there was a video camera that had a picture. So they did this, photo identification thing, right? Through the video, not by human methods, but by, the let me see if I can find it here. Where did it go? Hold on. Oh, here we go. So there's a twist to this story, which is why I'm telling you at the last one. They're using facial recognition. So apparently they used this old blurry photo of her, which she was supposedly stopped for something back a number of years ago. And that was the crappy photo they had of her. And the facial recognition came up with her and then her address, right? So now the police go, this is pretty horrifying, actually. This is bad police work. So she's getting her daughters ready for school. And 6 police officers show up at her door and say she's under arrest for robbery and carjacking. And she's like, what? And they take her in. And she's overnight in jail before they release her when they figure out they've got the wrong woman. Now, here's the thing. She was 8 months pregnant. And the guy who had sex with a woman in the parking lot didn't say he was having sex with an 8-month pregnant woman. So you would think the first thing they would have done rather than arrest her once they saw she was pregnant was find out whether this guy, ask her, well, was she like a really big stomach, but they arrested, she wasn't it. And she's pretty pissed off because she had a pretty miserable night in jail being 8 months pregnant. And the facial recognition failed. And so there's a problem sometimes that can't depend just on facial recognition. It can help your case and try to identify somebody involved in a crime. So there's nothing wrong with it. But you also got to use your own common sense. And apparently they didn't do such a good job on that. But she's like, wasn't her. She was 8 months pregnant. Let's see. Well, that's interesting. Some of the prostitutes murdered in Grand Rapids, Michigan came there to work on the weekend because they didn't want to work in their hometown. That's interesting. Yeah. Well, let's see. Sarah says, my own DMV AI couldn't recognize my own face through their system, so I don't think it's too reliable. Yeah, and it's problematic. So you gotta. Well, thank you. I try to bring common sense. I mean, that's whoa. Oh, sorry. Now I'm having other issues. What the heck just happened here? It's not on your end. My screen just went huge. I don't know what's going on. So the poltergeist that apparently that Mozelle Martin has in her house, because she talks about the different poltergeists moving furniture and crap. I think they're here now. It's all because I have her book next to me. But common sense, bring common sense to profiling. Hey, that's actually not a bad time. I might have to use that. Can I steal that? Thank you, Brenda. But there's no matter what we're doing, whether it be teaching, whether we are doing law, whether we're police work, whether we're doctors, whatever. We learn things that are technical things, scientific things. We follow methodologies, regulations. But common sense does need to be there as well, because sometimes you just look at things, you go, wait a minute. There's things here that have to make sense. So yes, making a t-shirt now. That's great. No, not real boobs. No, we're not going to do that one. Bringing common sense to profiling. I like that. And that is true. Common sense isn't all that common, unfortunately. And that's one of the problems I find, even when I do YouTube, I see people's comments, and good Lord, some of the comments I see on my regular, just on the regular video page. And that's why I always worry about the jury system, because I'm like, my God, these people are going to be on a jury. I don't want to say the word idiots, but man, some of them are. And you're like, you have no logic at all. Zero, zip, no common sense, no logic. And a lot of times they even think they have it. I was told on the Jean Bonnet thing about the handwriting, the person said, you got to get rid of your tunnel vision, Pat. You need to use some common sense in this case. And I said, well, I am using profiling, in this case, as that's what the channel's about. So, and I'm using common sense with the profiling. So it's important. But, we all have, different ways that we think that we have common sense when we don't. And I know a lot of people think they're very logical, and you're sitting there going, that's what you think is logical? Wow. So, as people said, if you didn't think it was logical, you wouldn't have done it, so people don't do what they don't think is sensible, unless they're doing some other things. But, anyway, I'm going to stop now, and I'm sorry about the bad audio through the show. I forgot to ask if you could see and hear me fine, because I haven't had problems with that lately, but it does help if I move the stupid, once in a while when I shift, because normally I sit in front of the green screen. This is my hangout place, so I sit here. I move everything, the computer and all the stuff I'm working with, so I have just a plain background. But I can't believe I forgot to move the microphone, so that screwed me up. Anyway, but that's the way life goes, and there's nothing I can do about it now, unless I can go back in. And I don't think I can take the video and turn it up. I wonder if that's doable. I wonder if that's something that could be done by somebody who's clever and knows how to fix audio. That's not me. So anyway, thank you all for being here. And I haven't figured out the Saturday. I think it's going to be a Saturday case, although it might be Sunday. Not quite sure what I'm going to do yet. But I have two shows that I did. One, the last Saturday show, they took just released it monetize wise today, and my other one I did last Thursday took them 7 days. I don't know what's going on. Maybe everybody's out on summer vacation, but normally it only takes 48 hours, but now it's been taking 6-7 days. It's insane. So very frustrating. So I have those two that I'll be putting out pretty soon. So anyway, glad you're here, everybody, and thank you. Oh, now my screen is so big I can't stop the show. What the hell do I do about that? No, what in the world happened here? Okay, now I don't know what I've got here. Okay, well, I'm going to try to stop the show with help. Oh my God, everything's messed up. What the heck is? I've got all sorts of issues here, and I don't know how to fix them now. Yeah, the technical issues have returned. I'm still live, it says. Yeah, still live. My whole screen is messed up, and I don't know how to get it back. Absolutely have no idea. Wow, this is interesting. Anyway, if you just want to leave now, you can do that. Bye, everybody. And if you haven't been to the show before, please do like and subscribe. And sorry about the audio. One of those days. What can I say? Well, I'm not too bright today, and I have no idea how to fix the screen so I can stop the show. It's crazy. Oh, this is so weird. Wow, my layout's completely messed up. Okay, well then I'm probably going to have to go out and come back in order to be able to stop the show. So anyway, bye everybody. Still trying to get out of the show. Bye.